Good evening, Belize, and welcome to XTV's news broadcast for Wednesday, May 13, 2026. Making the headlines tonight, contractor violated terms of permit for works in Placencia Lagoon. Will it be mandatory to get the national ID? PM temporarily assumes foreign affairs portfolio. And the minister says method of identifying Maya lands is still just a proposal. We take a first break and return with the news in detail.
People don't travel with cash anymore. People would stop and they want to do a coffee tour, they want to buy coffee, but people don't have cash with them. Online banking facilitated a lot of what we do. I don't have to run to town and I have to use fuel and other expenses. Atlantic Bank actually approached us. They facilitated us with a bank account, which is something that we didn't have in hand, and then with a POS machine. I sit and sip my good cup of coffee and do payments.
Atlantic Bank, building the future together.
Life moves fast. Your connection should keep up. Need more credit? More data? A flex bundle that fits your lifestyle? With Smart Prepaid, they're a prepaid option for every lifestyle and budget, making it easy to stay connected wherever you are. Because with Smart Prepaid, you can connect on your terms. Purchase credit, data, flex bundles, prepaid plans, and all your favorite prepaid services at any Smart agent, Smart showroom, or simply dial *100# key. No stress, no waiting. Just fast, easy, convenient ways to stay connected every day. Smart Prepaid. Connect on your terms.
This Mother's May, celebrate the woman who makes the house feel like home all month long. Great deals like 15% off bathroom and kitchen fixtures from Moen, Hansgrohe, and Duraflow. Plus 15% off Hispasensa tiles, Stormguard windows, and 40% off Sunlight windows. And 15% off Berger paints and huge savings on clearance colors. So come in to Habet and Abet or Brothers Abet, call us or WhatsApp us today and make this Mother's May one to remember. Happy Mother's Day to all marvelous moms.
Now that we have the new water system, it has improved the lives of these people a lot.
The life of my village get better. Now we have our potable water in our house.
الشال شقيل بال بس استخا أقري شريش لقها أوستيك ما نخليها عن قتيو أم أوستيك وانكوش مان كمان دناش وانكو تهنا كوشيك استو على قها نقاشوك شقوك Nakoshik si puchukat, kasanakwan, usik bayak.
I thanks for the minister to help us for drilling this well and give us the pump.
Right now, I see my village is getting good. I see water system, I see road, and we have our health post there.
We want to say thanks to the government of Belize, thanks to those that were there for Machakila, and we truly appreciate the support that is given.
The Ministry of Infrastructure Development and Housing informs the general public that works from Belize City to Hattieville under the George Price Highway Upgrading Project are actively progressing. The public is advised that business signs and roadside memorials located within the road reserve, including crosses and other commemorative markers, will need to be removed. We recognize the personal significance of these memorials and are committed to handling this process with the utmost respect and sensitivity. Removals must be completed by June 12, 2026, in preparation for construction works. Following the completion of the project, interested parties must reapply to the MIDH for the reinstallation of private signs within the road reserve. The Ministry sincerely appreciates the understanding and cooperation of the public as we work to improve the safety and quality of our highways. For further information on the project, please contact the Project Execution Unit at 614-3195.
Welcome back with your news. I am Drea Espinosa. The Department of the Environment and Mining Unit have conducted a preliminary assessment of the dredging reported Tuesday near the Placencia Lagoon and determined that the contractor, Albert Lowen, violated terms of the mining permit. The works to extract 4,500 cubic yards of dredge material were for Seaboard Holdings, whose director is named as Mark Anthony Espat, to reclaim eroded beach along 3 parcels of land. We spoke with Chief Environmental Officer Anthony Mai.
The investigation revealed that the contractor apparently, with the desire to obtain this 4,500 cubic yards of material, decided to extract it in an unconventional way, if I could use those words. So really and truly what the contractor should have done was get a barge, put an excavator on the barge, and then dredge the material, and then take it out to land, put it in a dewatering site, allow it to dry for a period of time before it is used to fill the seaside component of this development and also a portion of the property. What the developer did, he explained, was that because the sand was not readily available in the nearshore area, the method of extracting the 4,500 cubic yards of material involved the removal of the material. So it began to pile up the material going into the lagoon, and the intention was always, according to him, was for the structure that was being built to be removed, because the structure that was being built was the same sand that he would have removed to obtain the 4,500 cubic yards of material. And so that's what we understand is the reason as to why the structure was being built. But for us, one of the concerns is the fact that like sill curtains, sedimentation, containment structures were not in place during that operation. So the area where they were extracting material was the area where that the permits and clearances were granted for. But the idea would have been that a borrow site would have been created. So a borrow site is, they look at the Placencia Lagoon floor, and then extracting the material that you need from a 200 feet by 100 feet by 6 feet deep borrow site. So it's a hole in the lagoon floor. And so any modification to that would have had to be obtained from the mining unit if that the borrow site and its dimension and the extraction method would have changed. The approval should have been sought from the mining unit.
Do you, first of all, deem that what was done then was illegal?
So we're still making a determination. I could tell you that the fact that steel curtains were not used violates the conditions of the environmental clearance letter. And so the extraction method, the way how the material was removed, is something that we're still discussing with the mining unit to see how we deal with that particular issue.
What happens next and who all are to blame for the damage?
If it's the second time, you definitely call him a repeat offender, but my understanding is that he may be a serial offender. And the public is calling for some serious sanctions in a case like this. Do you continue to allow someone, a contractor like that, to continue dredging?
Yeah, so that's a difficult question for me to answer now. So I would need to get legal advice on that. I don't know if our legislation gives us the authority to determine who is granted permits for or allowed to do dredging and who does not. That might fall outside the purview of the environmental laws. And we need to be very careful, because if we make decisions outside of what the law gives us in terms of the shield, then we ourselves put ourselves up for litigation. And so we could be charged for making decisions outside of the scope of our laws, right? So that, I think, would require some level of discussion with our legal counsel to determine how we could look into this. But again, I'm only speaking for the Department of Environment. I won't speak for the mining unit on that matter.
What about the actual developer? Because my understanding is that the permits are given to the contractor for the developer, correct?
So the permits are granted to at least for the environmental clearance, the clearance was granted to the developer, and then the developer hires the contractor, and the process is such that the developer should give the contractor a copy of the clearance so the contractor knows what to abide by, the conditions of the clearance. And so in this case, we have had discussions with the developer, and according to them, they were not aware of what the contractor was doing. And so we've had preliminary discussion with the contractor. We plan to bring the contractor in to have a more formal conversation on exactly what happened and why he decided to use the method that he used rather than another method in terms of the borrow site. So for now, the structure they have stopped the operation since yesterday. When this matter came to our attention, the mining unit had issued I believe, had asked them to stop the operations, and we will issue an enforcement notice recording and documenting that they are to stop and remove the structure in any case. So yeah, so we still have to have some more concrete conversation with the contractor.
Does damage assessment happen, and will anyone be required to pay for any damage?
So that's something we still need to discuss internally in terms of how to move forward. Like I said, in terms of damage, it's difficult for us to charge for damage if we can't estimate the impacts, if we don't know the impacts in terms of real impacts, and estimate what the value of those impacts are. So like I said, it's not impossible. It's just that's a long drawn out process in terms of studies that need to be done to substantially say this is the amount of damage that you created and this is the value of those damage. That's not an overnight thing to do.
In related news, following the reports of dredging in the Placencia Lagoon on Tuesday, Dr. Marissa Tellez, the executive director of the Crocodile Research Coalition, said that there has been an increase in development interest across the peninsula since the pandemic. She said developers often do not respect the country's stance on conservation and green, sustainable tourism.
At the moment, with the dredging in the lagoon and the overdevelopment that has been happening really since post-COVID, I mean, yes, Placencia has been a hotspot for immigrants from North America, Canada, from North America and Europe to move, especially for retirement. And then, of course, becoming a hotspot for tourism, it has also caught the attention of many foreign investors. I'm an immigrant myself, and I have tried my best to understand the interconnection between nature and the Belizean culture and doing as much as I can to respect it. But I have observed, and many others, Belizeans as well as long-term immigrants as well, in regards to there has been a wave of people that has had the lack of respect towards nature here in Belize, which in reality is also a disrespect to the culture as well. And Belize is a hotspot for tourism in regards of nature, especially because many people that come to visit Belize, they're coming from places where they have already destroyed their natural resources and the nature around them. And they want to come here to experience what we have.
According to Dr. Tellez, even if the dredging was halted, some damage has been done. She said the lagoon area is a manatee feeding area and is it also utilized by other wildlife. She added that the impact could negatively affect the wildlife for generations, which in turn could affect nearby communities.
Definitely what is happening is with the destruction of the Placencia Lagoon, it is going to have a very major impact, negative impact against the wildlife. And this area, especially this area where we are seeing the dredging happening in Placencia Lagoon, a few years ago, myself and a colleague published a scientific paper as we found as much as 20 manatee in this area feeding. And they were feeding on a particular seagrass that's never been documented before in manatee. And so we do know that this is an important feeding ground for manatee. We also know that this particular area is an area where we have seen calves, so their mothers and the babies. This is also an area where we have seen a migration of cow-nosed rays. Of course, the crocodiles in the area, we've seen dolphins. So this is an important area for biodiversity. And if we destroy feeding habitat, if we destroy any type of ground where the animals utilize for resting, this is going to have a negative impact for the future generations of those animals. And we will see a decline in that biodiversity. And that's not just a negative impact on the wildlife, it's also a negative impact for the people that depend on the wildlife for their livelihoods, for tourism, for fishing. And so this is what we're seeing to Placencia Lagoon. This is just not a threat to biodiversity. This is a threat to the local communities.
Dr. Marissa Tellez has warned residents along the Placencia Peninsula that the recent illegal dredging in the Placencia Lagoon can cause public health issues. She explained that mangroves serve to filter the water and said that whenever mangroves are removed and dredging is done, contaminants already filtered by the mangroves are then circulated back into the water, reducing water quality.
These type of occurrences that happen, proposed dredging or some type of major construction that's going to happen. And we do know ever so often there are community meetings to discuss any major projects in the area, but even in the lagoon. And I do think that there might be a bit of, it's happening in the water, so, it won't affect communities, when in reality, it's going to impact the communities. Because especially with that dredging, any type of heavy metals that may have been settled thanks to the mangroves. So the mangroves are Mother Nature's water filter, making sure that the water quality is good. And if you remove the mangroves and then you dredge, you're releasing a lot of contaminants back in the water. So that is going to decrease the water quality. That is a public health issue. So again, this is not just about the wildlife. This is also about the communities as well. And, any possible impacts that this might have on local public health.
The government of Belize is conducting public consultation as it moves toward introducing a national identification card. The national ID will carry a unique identification number and biometric data. It would allow Belizeans access to public services, social programs, and financial systems through a single secure credential. We asked the CEO in the Ministry of E-Governance, Jose Urbina, if it will be mandatory to obtain the national ID.
What if someone doesn't want to get a national ID? Will there be penalties for that?
There will not be penalties for it, but I strongly think that there will be institutions that will require the national ID to process services. And if you don't have a national ID, then the question would be whether or not you will be able to access those services. So these are the questions that we want as feedback from the public consultation. Of course, the national ID is not being drafted in a way, or the legislation is not being drafted in a way to exclude citizens from services, but it can very well be that the private sector said, you know what, if you don't have a national ID, or you need a national ID to process a loan. Right? But we're hopeful that the general public understands. The factual information is that our data is already shared within the public service. It's already shared within different private institutions. The national ID allows us to protect that information and ensure that your data is not replicated all over. For example, let me use an example. I think for apply for some utility services, you need to give a copy of your learned certificate.
So that's not an actual requirement that compulsory. It's alongside other things. If you have that, you can provide it, but it's not mandatory.
So, but it is not mandatory for you to provide your SSB card either, right? But that is the requirement that entities ask for. And if you don't comply, then it is then they can come back and say, well, you know what, you don't qualify for the services. But the point I'm trying to make is, why do we need to even give a copy of Social Security card, or a copy of my passport bio page, or a copy of my driver's license, when that information already exists digitally? And with a national ID, those entities would be able to access it if you allow them to access. Because the way the app should work, or we are envisioning it to work, is that when that exchange of information occurs, you will get a push notification on the wallet to say yes or no, and to select what data will be shared with that specific entity. So the user will be in full control of what information is being shared.
Following Cabinet's meeting on Tuesday, it was agreed that the Prime Minister will hold over the portfolio of Foreign Affairs while Minister Francis Fonseca recovers from open heart surgery in the next few weeks. Minister of State Marconi Leal will hold over Foreign Trade, while the Minister of State Ramon Cervantes will take the lead in education. Minister of State Osman Martinez said he was not passed over to serve as a temporary minister for Foreign Trade.
That's a question to Prime Minister, but I don't think a temporary minister is needed. I know the Prime Minister is looking into it. He's the one who's holding that position, and I believe it's only right. I mean, I don't think anyone can replace Minister Fonseca, and I want to take this opportunity to wish him well and a fast recovery. We've been praying to him. He's, in addition to a colleague, he's a good friend and a mentor that I have.
And would you be able to share why they promoted Marconi Leal as opposed to you having more experience?
Well, I don't know if they have promoted Marconi Leal, but I know that he is in foreign trade. I am not in foreign affairs and foreign trade. I am at the Ministry of Economic Transformation, which is the ministry under the Prime Minister's office.
And we'll have more news after the break.
Every day, we access energy for cooling, lighting, and powering our electrical appliances and devices at work and at home. During cooler months, we rely less on cooling appliances such as fans and air conditioners. However, during warmer months, as the temperature and humidity rises, we use more energy to cool our spaces, and our appliances and electrical devices work harder than they do during the rest of the year. When the months become hotter, let's all practice energy conservation. Here are a few changes that you can make to manage your energy use. Check that all appliances and electrical devices are working efficiently. Turn lights off when not in the room. Unplug chargers, appliances when not in use. Turn off fans and TVs. Use energy-saving light bulbs such as LEDs. And look for the Energy Star products when purchasing appliances and electrical devices. These easy changes can reduce energy use and costs. You can also monitor your energy use during the month by reading your meter and calculating the reading using BEL's bill calculator on our mobile app or by visiting our website. Let's all save energy.
Nando's Wholesale is your market leader in Belize's wholesale industry when it comes to high-quality products at the most reasonable and competitive prices. With over 40 years in the wholesale business, Nando's Wholesale embraces the partnership of the hotel industry in Belize by providing world-renowned brands in wines, seasonings, condiments, and cleaners in industrial sizes, as well as small and large kitchen appliances and equipment. Nando's also takes pride in providing one of the quietest and most durable air conditioning systems in Belize with technical support and spare parts. Nando's Wholesale. Professional, reliable, effective, and prompt. Nando's Wholesale always delivers. Visit us at www.nandos.bz or send an email to nandos@nandos.bz. Or, even better yet, give us a call today at 222-500 or 280-8080 to speak to one of our sales representatives today.
Whether you are a busy person or stuck in traffic or having an adverse or very demanding circumstance, tension builds up, causing you to be stressed out. Stress attacks everyone, anytime, any age. And stress is a killer. Palm City? It's best to be alive than dead. So visit Freetown Drugstore to get options to relieve stress and to relax your mind.
Yes, sir. What can I do for you today?
I'm so stressed out.
Okay, after that, head up right now. When I this daily, for 10 days, I am good after that, okay?
Okay.
Freetown Drugstore, 28 Freetown Road, where you are better off alive than dead. Freetown Drugstore, telephone 223-2876.
Minister of State Osman Martinez has an optimistic view regarding the implementation of the Mayaland Rights 2015 Caribbean Court of Justice Consent Order. He is one of two ministers on the four-member panel reviewing draft legislation to give effect to the consent order, which recognizes the right of the Maya to their customary lands. Commenting on the announcement by the Maya that they are at an impasse with the government and are seeking a clarification of the CCJ ruling, Martinez said the proposed method of 5 acres per person with evidence required thereafter is still just a proposal.
That's a question to Prime Minister, but I don't think a temporary minister is needed. They do have the right to submit a new request to the Caribbean Court of Justice. Secondly, I respectfully disagree that we are too far apart. I believe that under the leadership of PM Briseño, even Ministry of Indigenous Affairs was put in place so that we can have respectful discussions. But indeed, there are a lot of questions, and the questions are based on the basic and most fundamental pillar that we must have for everyone, and that is the right to humanity. And so we do support and we do understand that as a government we must comply with the Caribbean Court of Justice decision. But at the same time, there is a right that we must respect on the third parties that are within the area that has been identified, and which is the case that was taken to the Caribbean Court of Justice. And so the government of Belize have initiated what I would say a very innovative approach to put two representatives from the government to discuss the way forward on the draft legislation and the implementation, so that both the government and the leaders of the MLA can come together, and together we can implement the legislation. We had our first meeting, which was to look at the terms of reference, and I believe that meeting was very productive, because in every negotiations you can put proposals forward, but proposals does not mean that it's a final decision. And so there is a proposal, but that's not a final decision. That was our first meeting of many. There's a roadmap of how many meetings we should have within a 2-month period of which we have only had our first one. So to say that on our first meeting we are far apart, based on my experience in negotiations, I will respectfully disagree, because I believe that at the contrary, there is a way forward that we have agreed to a roadmap on how we will be discussing the way forward.
According to government officials, the main purpose of a national identification card is to allow validation or confirmation of a user processing online services. Jose Urbina, CEO in the Ministry of E-Governance, shared an example of where a passport or social security card is not suitable for such verification.
Let's use the banking sector, right? The banking sector is already processing online bank loan applications. They have no way to knowing it is you making that application unless you upload a copy or a picture of yours or a selfie of yourself with the social security card to be able to do a picture verification of who's applying and who is the ID is for. The banking process also have a know your citizen or know your KYC, know your client form. The national ID is precisely for that. The national ID is used when you submit an online online application. The verification is done via the QR code on the national ID card. And that verification would be a valid verification. Just this morning, I think in Love FM, they were discussing about whether the license card should have your blood type, right? Because in cases of an accident, you can't really say, well, I'm type A blood positive or whatever. That is why we really need a national ID. The national ID links your personal data across all databases. The discussion was, well, maybe the Ministry of Transport now needs to add the blood type on their system. And my question is, why do we need to add it and replicate that information on another system when it already exists in a system, in a database? The national ID will help us to link all of the databases together, that as soon as that QR code is scanned, requesting blood type or requesting your medical conditions or information, then it will be shared with the right authorities. You have many databases within the public sector. You have many databases within the private sector. For example, BWSL, DG, BL, all the banks, Social Security, Ministry of Health, you name it. There is so many databases that exist, and the hope and expectation is that everyone is onboarded to the national ID for verification services. Even if you apply for a phone plan, even if you're using DigiWallet, even if you're using eCash, instead of using a two-factor authentication method, you use your biometric information to be able to validate yourself as a user of that service.
In police news, a long-standing land dispute in Lamanal Police District turned violent on Sunday afternoon, leaving one woman, Stacy Middleton, hospitalized with a gunshot wound and a male suspect in police custody. Tensions reportedly reached a breaking point when a group of individuals confronted a man who was operating a bulldozer to clear the parcel of land. During the heated exchange, Middleton allegedly threw water on the man, who then took out his licensed gun and shot Middleton in her right leg. The man later told police he thought she had thrown acid on him. Middleton was transported for medical treatment and is recovering from her injuries as investigations continue. Honorable Lee Mark Chang, the United Democratic Party UDP area rep for Mesopotamia, was involved in a road traffic accident sometime after 8 on Tuesday night. The incident occurred at the corner of Map and Cran Streets in Belize City. According to the initial investigation, the vehicle Chang was traveling in was struck by another vehicle, causing it to flip onto its side. There are reports that the driver of the other vehicle may have been under the influence of alcohol. Chang later reported he only suffered minor aches and bruises and expressed gratitude that the outcome was not worse. After the break, Canada cautions travel to Belize following declaration of SOE. Stay tuned.
Life moves fast. Your connection should keep up. Need more credit? More data? A flex bundle that fits your lifestyle? With Smart Prepaid, they're a prepaid option for every lifestyle and budget, making it easy to stay connected wherever you are. Because with Smart Prepaid, you can connect on your terms. Purchase credit, data, flex bundles, prepaid plans, and all your favorite prepaid services at any Smart agent, Smart showroom, or simply dial *100# key. No stress, no waiting. Just fast, easy, convenient ways to stay connected every day. Smart Prepaid. Connect on your terms.
In May, make Benny's your one-stop shop for appliances. We have Sankey refrigerators, stoves, microwaves, washers and dryers, freezers, smart TVs, and so much more for up to 19% off. Get amazing deals for mom and appliances all May long, and don't forget your B-Bucks whenever you make a purchase to be a part of our Homecation raffle to win $10,000 in December. Benny's, quality and savings.
People don't travel with cash anymore. People would stop and they want to do a coffee tour, they want to buy coffee, but people don't have cash with them. Online banking facilitated a lot of what we do. I don't have to run to town and I have to use fuel and other expenses. Atlantic Bank actually approached us. They facilitated us with a bank account, which is something that we didn't have in hand, and then with a POS machine. I sit and sip my good cup of coffee and do payments.
Atlantic Bank, building the future together.
The Social Security Board's new whistleblower reporting system makes it easy and confidential to speak up by reporting misuse of the Social Security services and benefits, including fraud, misconduct, false claims, and more. If you know of any unethical or illegal activity relating to SSB benefits, claims, or personnel, go to ssbspeakup.integrityline.com or use our toll-free hotline 0800-SPEAK-UP, 0800-773-2587. This confidential reporting system is a way for you to report concerns or incidents privately without fear of reprisal. Your submission is confidential and anonymous. The Social Security Board is committed to providing a secure, confidential medium for whistleblowing that promotes organizational accountability and enhances public confidence in our services.
Now that we have the new water system, it has improved the lives of these people a lot.
The life of my village get better. Now we have our potable water in our house.
الشال شقيل بال بس استخا أكري شريش لقها أوستيك ما نخليها عن قتيو أم أوستيك وانكوش مان كمان نشكوانكو تهنكوشيك استاو ألقها نكاشوك شقوكا نكوشيك شقوكات بس نخوانك أوستيك بياك.
I thanks for the minister to help us for drilling this well and give us the pump.
Right now, I see my village is getting good. I see water system, I see road, and we have our health post there.
We want to say thanks to the government of Belize, thanks to those that were there for Machakila, and we truly appreciate the support that is given.
Tuesday's dredging along the Placencia Peninsula eventually led to an investigation by the Department of the Environment and other government agencies, which eventually stopped the development. Dr. Marissa Tellez emphasized how important it is for residents to report when environmental destruction is taking place.
It is so important that if you see anything that is of environmental destruction, to contact your local nonprofit, your local NGO, village council. When the original video started to go around, the local nonprofits and NGOs were alerted, as well as the local village council that immediately contacted the government officials. And I can say for the community of Placencia, they continued to push and push and push until getting answers. And I just found out at this moment, there is a live feed that's happening in regards of one of the very vocal residents of Placencia, and he is always out there for Placencia Lagoon. He's right now, leading people to protest against this particular dredging that's happening, and the rumors behind why this dredging is happening.
The Government of Canada has updated its travel advisory for Belize, urging travelers to exercise a high degree of caution and avoid non-essential travel to specific regions following the declaration of a state of emergency on May 8. The Canadian advisory remains at a level 2, which advises a high degree of caution for the country overall, but highlighted specific high-risk zones where the SOE is in effect and urged their residents only to travel to these areas if necessary. This includes the south side of Belize City and the rural communities included in the SOE. However, travelers are encouraged to register with the Registration of Canadians Abroad to receive emergency updates. The advisory also cautions Canadians to be on the alert concerning measles. However, the Government of Canada's travel health advisory regarding measles is currently categorized as a global travel health notice rather than being specific only to Belize. It applies to all international travel due to a worldwide increase in cases. Canada's stance is that the best protection for a trip to Belize is ensuring travelers have had their full 2-dose MMR series at least 6 weeks before travel. In more police news, police have made a swift arrest in the fatal stabbing of 56-year-old Mark Longsworth, which occurred in the early hours of Monday morning in Belize City near Mopan and Ebony Streets. Police officially arrested and charged 53-year-old Ralph Sherlock Martinez Sr., a resident of Belize City, for the crime of murder. Martinez was detained shortly after the incident and was formally charged on Tuesday. ASP Stacy Smith told the media that officers on mobile patrol on Ebony Street around 12:30 a.m. on Monday discovered Longsworth suffering from several injuries at the corner of Ebony and Mopan Streets. She said at the time that police had not established a motive for the incident. And police are investigating a theft of maritime property following a report made by Belize City resident 70-year-old Carl Hushner on Tuesday. Hushner reported to police that several high-value items were stolen from Drowned Key, located off the coast of Belize City. The total value of the stolen assets is estimated at approximately 30,000 Belize dollars. The missing items include a 23-foot fiberglass skiff named Fermina, valued at 10,000 Belize dollars, and two 25 HP Yamaha outboard engines with a combined value of 20,000 Belize dollars. And with that, we've come to the end of our newscast. The repeat can be viewed on the station later tonight at 9 and again tomorrow at midday. Join us again tomorrow for another edition of the news. And remember, you can always catch up with the day's top stories on our YouTube channel and Facebook page under XTV Belize. And you can watch the evening news live on our XTV BHNI app. I am Drea Espinosa. Have a safe and enjoyable evening.